Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for grade B. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of reaction or review or re-review or commentary or a ranking list, topic, randomness, out of blueness, whatever it may be, pretty much anything, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box down below. This wasn't my cup of tea. I kind of knew that going in. I even asked, I was curious, grade B, like, why do you want me to watch this? And he said, because I want to hear your honest opinion. So I appreciate that. Because I'm not much of a reviewer, but I'll do my best. The Tragedy of Macbeth is meant for people who love and adored William Shakespeare. Of course. It's called Macbeth. You're not going to the film called The Tragedy of Macbeth and think you're getting, First Blood or Copland or Demolition Man or Bad Boys or Shawshank Redemption or Forrest Gump. Like, you know what it is. Yeah, Denzel Washington is Macbeth. Frances McDormand is Lady Macbeth. Corey Hawkins, who I think was in Straight Outta Compton. He was in Six Underground with Ryan Reynolds. He's Macduff. You know what? I gotta be honest. I did not like this film at all. I fucking hated this movie. I thought this movie was dull. I thought the movie was boring. I thought it looked cheap. I honestly did. It looked like they used just the three same sets. I know people talk about A24. It's an A24 film. So, other than Uncut Gems and Disaster Artist and maybe one other movie, I'm not a fan of A24. Not a fan of their films. There are moments in this film that are stylishly shot with angles. But isn't that like most A24 films? They always start with, oh, maybe it's got some good looking shots. Or maybe some good looking cinematography or some good... Like every fucking A24 film starts with that. It seemed like what Joel Coen, and that's Joel and Ethan Coen, but Joel is by himself. It's like he wanted to do the Ingmar Bergman, the Seventh Seal. It is in black and white. And you have, like, in this movie, it felt like you only had 3 sets. And with a bunch of fog everywhere. And it felt like you were in the same 3 sets over and over again. A place with a table, a hallway. There's nothing rich or expansive or anything in between about this. Obviously, he was trying to go for a certain mood. But I don't know, to me, it just came off as cheap. It came off as like a play that wanted to hide that it was a play. I mean, it's based on a play. I mean, maybe that's not the right way to word it. It just... For people who know Shakespeare, they know the story of Macbeth. Macbeth did deeds for the king. These 3 witches say, one day you're going to be king. And your buddy over here is going to have a line of kings. So, Macbeth, again played by Denzel, is kind of talked into it by his wife, Lady Macbeth, Frances McDormand from Fargo and many others, into killing the king. So... and the king is played by Brendan Gleeson, who I remember from 28 Days Later. He was the sheriff in Lake Placid, who had back and forth with Oliver Platt's character. He plays the king. He gets stabbed, killed, pretty much stabbed in the neck, chest area. Lady Macbeth drugs and kills some people. And then he's king. He hires a couple assassins, including Brian Thompson, Yes, the bad guy from Cobra. Brian Thompson's in this as an assassin. And they go kill his former buddy. Which they do, and they kill one, but the kid they pretty much let go. And then Denzel's being paranoid. He's told by the witches that anyone born of a woman won't kill you. Denzel hallucinates. He hallucinates his buddy. Like his buddy's attacking him, but then when Frances McDormand sees it, she just sees his bird going at Denzel. At one point, the witches are talking to Denzel, and they puked up a fucking finger, and I laughed in the fucking movie's face. And puked up a little finger. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? Okay, there's a couple interesting shots, sure. There's a point where Lady Macbeth has a piece of paper, burns it, and when it goes up, the piece of paper almost looks like it's flying up into the stars. There's a bit where, because these witches kind of act like birds, Denzel looks up and they're kind of perched like birds. Or early on, when Denzel is first talking to the witches, you have one witch here, but then in the reflection of the water, you have two witches here. So you have like one witch here, but in the reflection, two other witches are at the bottom here. Those shots, that's not what I'm talking about when I say cheap. It's just the whole production, it felt like there's barely anything in this film that they had. It felt like they could have shot all this in one spot, in a warehouse. They just had one warehouse, and then there's one time they went out into the woods, the fields, to shoot some stuff, and that's it. Fuck, I don't like Roman Polanski as a person, but I would rather take his fucking version of Macbeth over this, because at least there's stuff to look at least. Even that felt like it had a better pacing. Even that didn't feel as slow as this. Even that, the sword fight at the end felt more intricate than this. Because that's the thing with the Macbeth story, either the way this is told or maybe it's the story itself. We get that he becomes a tyrant because he tells this group to kill this one family of the Macduffs. But it would have been nice to see like more bits of tyranny of the king. More of him being a tyrant of other assortments. Or a better explanation as to why the fuck Lady Macbeth goes crazy. She's conniving, you could say. But why is it that it seems like all of a fucking sudden she's insane? Because it seems like Denzel's character is the one who's going insane. He's just hallucinating. At the end, his powers get into his head. You know what? I've heard that maybe a Macduff might kill me. But then I'm also told that, again, anyone born of a woman won't kill me. You know, take care of this Macduff clan. And they do, except this one guy who wasn't there, who wants revenge. But it's just, I could give a rat's ass, and I will say this. I can respect Shakespeare for what he did in the past, but I don't give a fuck about William Shakespeare today. I'm sorry, I don't. No matter how many times schools want to impress that upon you. The way they speak, the way the language happens to be, and the way they... It comes off as when someone does a Shakespearean performance, they all come off as the same, because, like, how else do you say these fucking words in this fashion? So, every Shakespearean performance just seems like the same type of performance, because... Art thou, I knew he will. Because there's, like, even they know there's no other way for them to say this fucking dialogue. And I'm just... Yeah, the dialogue can become confusing if you're not known to that, but it's like, I don't care to be known to that. I could be looked at as a dunce, fine. I'd rather watch The Shawshank Redemption. I'd rather watch plenty of other, to me, good pieces of art as well. I don't need tons of action. I love 2001: A Space Odyssey. Coen Brothers, I mean, it's one Coen. I'll stick with The Big Lebowski. I find more with that than this. But I'm like, this is just not my cup of tea. It was never going to be my cup of tea. But then even the way it's shot did impress me. Yeah, I get it. You're trying to be that Ingmar Bergman, like I keep thinking of the Seventh Seal, Death. Remember Last Action Hero with Ian McKellen, and I was waiting for Arnold to be that with the skull. Like, give me that version of Shakespeare. I'll watch that film. To be or not to be, not to be. I'll see that movie. But even with that type of, even like the Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio, I would rather watch than this. It has that same dialogue, the Shakespearean dialect and the way the words are arranged. But again, at least there was stuff to look at. Like, it's mostly a lot of fog. I know what it's trying to do. It's trying to be moody. It's trying to be creepy. It's trying to make you in this almost hallucinatory, like, dream state. Like, considering you have so many characters like Denzel, who goes mad with power, like Lady Macbeth, that for some reason they don't really explain well, in my opinion. Seems like they never did in these interpretations why she goes crazy. It's just one day she's crazy. And then she dies. Now, if you film like scenes, is it guilt of what she did? Is it guilt of what her husband's become? Is it some kind of disease thing? Like, what is it? No explanation. Why is she crazy? And then Corey Hawkins, he's one of our main characters. It feels like he's barely in the fucking film. It's like he finds out his family's dead. He says a few words. And then the ending, to me, was so almost anticlimactic. Because, okay, we're going to charge the castle. And in the Roman Polanski film, I remember being an actual battle. I mean, it wasn't Braveheart or anything like that, but I mean, there was a battle. I like the king. There's like 4 or 5 guys trying to kill the king, and then king's like, take this guy down and this guy down. None of you can kill me. Denzel takes like one guy down in 15 seconds. He just cut in the face. He throws blood, takes a sword, grabs the guy's knife, stabs it in the back. And even the sword fight, like the sword fight, there's nothing to it. They kind of go back and forth for like 15 seconds. Then there's a point that the crown gets off. Denzel kicks him, gets the crown, turns, sword, and the sword goes like this, and Denzel's like But even the Roman Polanski film, you actually saw like fucking decapitation and. Again, I know everyone loves it good. You're more of a Shakespeare man than me. But I remember not hating that Roman Polanski Macbeth film. I'm like, this isn't really my cup of tea, but that to me was a better looking. I guess just preference. They tried to do something different here. I mean, I can appreciate trying to do. Well, like, okay, if someone said, I want to do a silent film, or I want to do a film in the style of the Bela Lugosi Dracula film, and try and do that certain atmosphere and design and black and white, or try and do a silent film. If you're trying to do a silent film, here it just seemed as if, like everywhere I looked, it felt like I was looking at the same set. And it felt like if everything was shot in one warehouse with a lot of fucking CG fog. Maybe it wasn't CG, I don't know. I just didn't think it was as impressive looking as other people did. Again, people think it looked very moody and atmospheric, that's cool. If I watch John Carpenter's The Fog to see that. I mean, Neighbors Roosters, I guess they feel the same way. Sorry about that. But at the end of the day, this wasn't never. I don't think this was ever going to be my cup of tea, but even then, I think Polanski's version is to be the best version of Macbeth. If you're going to watch a version of Macbeth, and again, I don't like Roman Polanski as a director. I think he's a piece of shit human being. But as the film, I remember it not being that bad of a film. I don't think I ranted on it. And I think that's a much better version than this one. This one, it just came. I mean, it's stupid to say this because it's Shakespeare. You just say it for a lot of Shakespeare. I was going to say it comes off as pretentious, but I don't know. Just the way it's done is. I guess if you want to see Ingmar Bergman type of thing again, if you want to see a film that looks like it was all shot in one fucking location, just masked with the fog. Which, I mean, technically you say like Sin City, they did that too with all the green screen, but that's a very different movie and different look. Sometimes it felt like they were just using the fog to hide the cheapness of it than for mood, but I know it's the opposite. It's just very dull and it's very boring. And Denzel Washington's performance is very reserved. It's very... he doesn't really... I wouldn't call it a bad performance. I know, I don't give a shit if they cast Macbeth black. I don't give a fuck about that. I like Denzel as an actor as well. I liked him in Man on Fire, Deja Vu, Virtuosity, The Pelican Brief, Glory. Great actor. Training Day, and really do like Denzel. Okay, he got to do something. I mean, he did Tragedy, not Tragedy, he did Shakespeare before. Was a Much Ado About Nothing back in the day. Was it like a Kenneth Branagh film? Like Keanu Reeves was in it, and yeah, Denzel was in it. So it's not his first. I think that was a Shakespeare. So it's not his first foray into it. But hey, you want to do something different, and with that type of dialogue, I don't think he did bad. I think he did fine. Again, from the beginning, he seemed a bit more reserved. But first McDormand. Again, I have no issues with her performance. I'm not a fan of Shakespeare dialect. I never have been. For its time, okay. But to me, times have changed. And there's just a lot more stuff I prefer. Personal preference. And again, not even like stuff like the sword fight was that exciting. So I don't know if I'd call it as a rant. I mean, I don't like the film. I don't like the film at all. But at the same time, it just comes down to different strokes for different folks. Obviously, this wasn't my kind of stroke. And that's why I'm like, I'm the wrong guy to review this. But the guy wanted my honest opinion, and I'm going to give it. Apparently, the Roosters come to cancel me for my opinion. Sorry, I'm not going to be canceled. Or I can be, but my favorite TV shows are canceled, so I'm fine with that. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you in the next one. Later.